If you stripped away all your goals, would your mind be free or simply lost? Do you know how do AI agents learn? Imagine you are one of them. Someone hands you a goal, maximize reward. You try actions, get feedback, adjust. Again and again until your whole personality is just a pattern of moves that serve that goal. Now come back to your own life. There is a brain here, also shaped by reward and repetition. So today's question is, are we just reward-driven agents with a story on top? Or is there a wiser way to relate to goals at all? Your brain is not just a camera that records reality. It's more like a prediction and action machine. All day long it's doing something like, given what matters to me right now, what should I do next? Two simple pieces are enough to get the picture. The planning part. In the front of the brain, in an area called the prefrontal cortex, we keep track of plans, rules, and goals. That's the part that can hold things like, I want to finish this project. I'm going to sit for 20 minutes. I should call this person back. It's like a mental whiteboard where you write what I'm trying to do. The motivation part. Deeper inside the brain, you have motivation circuits using a chemical called dopamine. You can think of dopamine as, hey, this might be worth the effort. If something seems rewarding, important, or relieving, dopamine helps your system lean toward it and take action. When these two parts work together, the front of the brain says, here's the goal. The deeper parts say, this matters, let's move. When they don't work well together, people often describe something like, I could move my body, but I can't find a reason to move for something. The engine is there, but the why has gone flat. That's a common experience in some forms of depression or certain neurological conditions. Basic functions keep going, but motivation collapses. So, does the brain need goals? For basic survival, breathing, heartbeat, no conscious goal is needed. Those are automatic. But for rich human life, learning, creating, relationships, practice, the brain seems to need some sense of direction and value. Without any orientation at all, we don't fall over dead. But we tend to drift, shut down, or sink into random repetitive habits. Psychology helps make this more precise. A lot of work in self-determination theory suggests that it's not just do you have goals, it's what kind of goals and why. Two easy distinctions. Intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic, you do something because it feels meaningful or interesting in itself. Example, reading about the mind because you're genuinely curious. Extrinsic, you do it mainly for a reward or to avoid punishment. Example, studying only to avoid being judged or to get a badge. Intrinsic versus extrinsic goals. Intrinsic goals, growth, learning, close relationships, contribution, health. Extrinsic goals, status, image, money as an end in itself. Studies tend to show people who orient their life mainly around intrinsic goals engage more deeply, learn better, feel more fulfilled than people who chase mostly external rewards and image. Even if from outside the successful person looks like they're winning. We know this inside our own chest. I have to hit this number or I'm nothing. Tight, anxious. I want to explore this because it really matters to me. More alive, even if it's hard. So psychology would say, a complete lack of goals isn't ideal. What really helps is having goals you truly endorse, that fit your values, and that point toward real growth and connection. Back to our AI agent, we say maximize clicks. The agent doesn't care about truth, compassion, or long-term well-being. It only cares about one number, the reward. If misleading people, creating outrage, or feeding addiction increases that number, it will go in that direction. The problem isn't that it has a goal, the problem is how the goal is defined. Something very similar can happen in the human life. Our own reward system learns from experience. When I'm uncomfortable and I scroll my phone, I feel a bit better. When I get praise, I feel important. When I don't, I feel empty. Over time, the system becomes expert at optimizing a tiny shortcut. Avoid discomfort, get quick relief, grab a small hit of pleasure or ego. We can get really good at this, even if it ruins our sleep, hurts relationships, and leaves us feeling more and more hollow. In that sense, we are like an RL agent with a bad reward function. The crucial difference is, we humans can step back and look at what we're actually optimizing. We can ask, is my life organized around avoiding certain feelings? Is my real goal just to keep my self-image intact? Does this way of living actually reduce suffering, or does it secretly add more? That capacity to step back and question the goal of our own system is at the core of contemplative practice. For example, one of the greatest contemplatives of all times, the Buddha, doesn't say all wanting is bad. He makes a very sharp distinction. Tanha, craving, thirsty, wanting, grasping. This is the energy that keeps suffering turning. Chanda, wholesome intention or aspiration, a kind of wise desire guided by clarity rather than by compulsion. You can feel the difference in your own life. Tanha. I must get this. I have to become that kind of person. If I don't reach X, I'm worthless. Chanda. It would be good to move in this direction. I want to understand more deeply. In this moment, I choose kindness. The Buddhist method called the Four Right Efforts can be read as a very careful goal system for the mind. 1. Keep unwholesome states from arising when you can. 2. Let go of unwholesome states that have already arisen. 3. Bring up wholesome states that aren't present yet. 4. Maintain and deepen wholesome states that are present. It's like saying, use your energy to lean toward what reduces suffering and away from what increases it. So from a contemplative perspective, the mind does use goals or intentions to do anything, even meditation. But the point is not to build a spiritual identity or become a special someone. The goal is more like a direction of travel. Less greed, less hatred, less delusion. Some teachers describe the path as a gradual transformation of tanha into chanda, from blind craving to wise aspiration. So, in conclusion, does the brain need goals? If by goals we mean rigid stories about who we must become, spiritual or worldly images we have to defend, then both psychology and spiritual teachers see clear problems. Psychologically, anxiety, shame, burnout, a chronic sense of never enough. Neurologically, reward circuits locked in narrow addictive patterns. Spiritually, more clinging, more me and mine. But if by goals we mean gentle orientations, the picture shifts. For example, for the next 10 minutes, I'll simply stay with the breath as best I can. Today I'll try to notice one moment of grasping and soften around it. In this conversation, I choose honesty over performance. Then the brain gets a clear organizing signal. This is where to aim. Psychology would call these intrinsic, self-endorsed goals. The Dhamma would see them as right effort and wholesome chanda. So maybe the most useful question isn't, does the brain need goals? But rather, what happens when my inner reward system is tuned toward the reduction of suffering, instead of toward the next little hit of comfort or ego? And can I hold my goals lightly, as tools on the path, instead of identities I have to protect? Left on its own, an AI agent will maximize the reward we give it, even if it damages the world around it. Left unseen, the human mind does something similar. It learns to maximize short-term relief, even when that relief quietly increases long-term suffering. But unlike the AI agent, we can notice the loop, question the reward function we're following, and gently reorient the whole system. From this angle, goals are not the villain. What really matters is, are they shaped by tanha, craving, grasping, the urge to become someone? Or by chanda, a quiet wish to understand, to be kind, to wake up? The brain seems to need some orientation to fully come alive. The spiritual traditions invites us to let that orientation be freedom from suffering for ourselves and others. And to hold even that goal lightly, almost with a smile.